Hello there. I am so glad you're here tonight. I have got such a good show that it's one of my favorite people on the planet, one of my best friends ever, and he's pretty okay most of the time. He's pretty okay all the time. He is one of the founders of the Hollywood Ghost Hunters. He is an actor in 70 plus movies. Two of them, he was the title actor, which I guess would be the star. So he is a stuntman, just extraordinarily good at that. But he is a great ghost hunter. That I can vouch for. We have been all over the place. He has had me and Lori Dorsey join him at an investigation at the Winchester House out in California. We have been to Scotland, traveling the whole country twice. So I am so glad to introduce you to my friend, Rick Mccallum. Hello.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm doing good. I got Kat and Carl to talk to.
I know, right?
Yeah, it's a good day.
It is a good day. And I'm glad that you're having good days. Lori is in chat, and so is Tracy Pignot. I probably said that wrong. I'm sorry, Tracy, if I did. But, we talk a lot.
That's true.
We basically have no secrets from each other. We have investigated together in all kinds of neat places, and you keep turning us on to new and even more interesting ones. And I appreciate that.
Well, I like that. And I like having you guys with me because you guys know what you're doing. So, it's always nice to have good ghost hunters with you when you're looking for something.
If I didn't know by now, Rick, I'd just have to hang it up. I've been doing it a hot minute.
I was trying to think today. I've been doing this now since I was 13. That's a lot of years.
we can, oh, hey, Jeremy York. It is a lot of years, but you've only got 10 on me. So we're right up there. And I think that when you told me about your first experience when you were traveling with your mom, I love that. Would you share that experience?
Well, of course. It was actually what got me started. I mean, my grandfather died in a gun cleaning accident. He was a security guard. Gun cleaning accident. But my mother didn't have very much money, and we lived on the south side of Chicago, and he wanted to be buried in Paducah, Kentucky. And he didn't leave any money or anything, so we were pretty short changed on the deal. So, not that he didn't leave us any money, we just didn't have any money for the traveling and stuff. But we got on a train, and we went all the way to Paducah. When we got off, we got a huge surprise. My grandfather's name was Joe Kelly, and we thought he was 100% Irish. Well, there was a guy there named George Volholius that was waiting for us. And he says, "Yeah, I'm Joe's brother." We went, "What? How can you be brothers?" And he goes, "Well, he came across on the boat. And when he got to the island, Ellis Island, I guess it is, when he got there, he just used the people that brought him their name, but found out that he wasn't any Irish at all, but he was 100% Spartan. Now, a lot of people don't realize that Sparta is a country.
Yes.
And you start telling people Sparta now, they think of the 300s. So,
yes.
But anyway, we dropped they came and got the casket and took it over to the funeral home. And we didn't have any place to stay. I mean, this happened like boom, 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 one right after the other. So we get out, and it's, 10 o'clock at night and not the best neighborhood in the world. And we start walking along, and we see this one brownstone building, 2-story brownstone building with the typical horror movie thing, the neon light outside flickering, the one letter's missing in the hotel. So we go in there. My mother says, "Do you have any rooms?" He goes, "I've got one left." And she says, "Well, how much is it?" And it was like, "They give you money to stay at this place," but it was bad. But anyway, she says, "We'll take it." And he says, "Well, I have to tell you, it's haunted." Now, I wasn't that close to my grandfather. Hardly met him at all. I was like a kid at Disneyland. Yes, 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 yes. So I was 13. You know how we are.
I do.
I haven't changed much since then either.
You have not.
Haunted. Haunted, let me in. But anyway, we got there, and it was the strangest room. It was like a rectangle sideways, the length sideways, and on both ends was rolling beds, right? And it was hardwood floor. Looked like a volleyball court. So anyway, we go to bed, and I'm just laying there, and I'm asleep, but I hear my mother scream, and and I pop up, and I'm going to defend her with all, my 4 foot tall, 13-year-old self. So I look over there, and I see her bed just scooting across the floor towards me, and I don't mean eat, I mean whoosh, right? So I'm kind of, whoa, what's going on? And then I realized my bed is going towards her, and we slammed, boom, right in the middle of the room. We just sat there. I mean, we were doing this.
I'm sure. Yeah, it's like, oh my gosh.
But we're just looking at each other, and finally my mother goes, "Well, I guess the guy downstairs is right." So we tried ways of debunking it. Now this is before anybody had even heard the word debunking.
Yeah.
Right. This is over 50 years ago. Actually, it's 56 years ago. And we took a glass, put it on its side, rolled it, and it didn't roll. So the floors weren't warped. I went behind my bed, pulled it back as far as I could, and then shoved it as hard as I could. Went about 4 feet. So we couldn't figure it out. But right after that, boy, I was hooked. I'll tell you, anything. They say something's haunted, I'm on my way.
Your little kitty self.
Yeah.
You're still kind of a kitty self, just a big kitty self.
Well,
not kitty. Kitty.
I got it.
Kid. But that would be me, cat, right? But when you told me that story for the first time, or that experience for the first time, I was blown away. I thought that was the coolest thing. And hello, Tom McNicholas. I hope you're doing great. He had surgery. So it's a couple of weeks out now, but it takes a while to heal. But I've been praying for you. But, it's, to me, I just had experiences. I didn't, nobody ever said that's haunted or, anything like that. So, but you started out gangbusters, as it were. I mean, that's huge. That's a huge experience. People who do this know how big of an experience that is, because you had off the chain stuff.
Oh, you ain't heard nothing yet.
Well,
I mean, you know almost every story that I have, and there's some in there that I guarantee you everybody will think that I'm lying, just because it's so off the wall. But I'm old. I can't remember lying, so I have to tell the truth. So.
Well, you tell the truth anyway, so.
I do. I see a friend of mine. I see the Hobbit is in chat. Tracy Pinow.
Yes. And she told me how to pronounce it, so I appreciate that. I got it wrong, but she was okay.
She has this daughter. Here was a funny thing. Her daughter's like this tall, right?
Right.
And she says to me and Mikey, we were down at Tombstone. She goes, my daughter's a little shy. Do you think you guys could keep an eye on her and stuff like that? So she hung around with us. By the time we were leaving, she was like, woohoo! Yeah. I mean, really came out of her shell. It was really cool.
How old was your daughter?
She was in high school, I think.
Cool.
But what she did to me was so funny. We were in the Tombstone Cemetery, the OK Tombstone, whatever it was called. But it was where all the bad guys were buried. And I was watching out for her, me and Mikey. And it's dark. It's like 11, 12 at night. And I'm looking around and I don't see her anywhere, right? And she'd just been there a minute before, right? And I'm looking around. All that I see in front of me is this small bush, right?
Is this the bush girl?
Yeah. And I went, Sky, where are you? And she goes, boing, stands up and goes, yikes. A little spy.
That's so funny. But first time because you've told me that before. And your reaction to that was so cool because she got you.
She's 21.
But she got you.
Is she?
Yeah. Well, when she jumped up.
Yeah, she scared the hell out of me. In a cemetery and things are popping up out of the ground. No.
It's not the cemetery you want to be in.
Actually, there was a place we all were down where all the bad guys from the OK Corral are at, right? They're all buried. And everybody was asking questions. And finally, I just said, are any of you sorry you listened to Ike Clanton? One guy went, yes. Yeah, he would be under them rocks if you wouldn't have listened to him.
There's that.
Yeah, it's one of the places I really like.
It's one of the places I haven't been yet.
Well, we'll have to go.
I'm down with that.
Bring David.
Well, he is probably coming to Vegas in a couple of days, and then we'll be out there in another couple of weeks. So cool. Usually the time that you leave the country is when I come to your side of the world.
Yeah, I run away. I know you're close by. I'm going to hide.
He's not kidding.
Trouble's afoot.
He's not kidding.
I invite you everywhere.
You do invite me everywhere, but it's so funny that every time, because he goes to Scotland or tries to go to Scotland every year in June. And my husband plays poker. There's a conference that I like to go to in California, a UFO conference. And so when David and I are out there, and I'm actually going to California, and he's like, see ya, I'm off. And he's out.
Except for this year. So maybe I will go up to Vegas and say hello to my evil stepmother.
Well, I thought about calling her and having, getting together for brunch again. So the plus side, of him leaving and, just abandoning us like that is that I got to go and meet the evil tiny stepmother last year. It was so much fun. She's so fun.
She is something.
She is. She's one of the nicest humans going.
And she's kind of a ghost magnet. Because she lived in the house down in Texas too, and she had a lot of stories.
Well, I found it interesting that, when we were all going to do that show together, hers was the microphone that wouldn't work because she did have so many stories. And sometimes that's just the way that rolls.
Yeah.
I have found I've done this show for 10 plus years, and it's just kind of, sometimes they want you to talk and sometimes they do not.
That's true. But I got to tell you, of all the places I've been, that house, most haunted place I've ever been. Absolutely, just every day was something.
Was it because it was so consistent, or was it because of the level of haunting?
Both. I mean, even Vandy tells this story all the time because there were 3 people that were hung on our property, and they were like people back from Bonnie and Clyde days, but they weren't with Bonnie and Clyde. Everybody that retells the story, and then Bonnie and Clyde's people, I said, no, that was just during that time period. But they were pretty vicious, these people. And finally, we found out where their house had been, and the guy invited us over there. He's telling us how they had secret rooms and secret, aisleways behind the walls and everything else. So anytime the cops would come running in, they couldn't find them.
Okay.
But they made a mistake of coming back when the townspeople were waiting for them. And the townspeople went running after them, and they went running up the street and around the hill. Now, this is long before all this development was there. and they caught him up by our property and hung him. So we think it's those three because it's right on the same property. And Vandy one day was sitting on the sofa, and had her back to the front door, and out the double doors where the kitchen is, where the dining room is. She saw three shapes, transparent but very clear, walk from right behind her, right past her, and right out those two doors. So that was pretty cool.
That's pretty cool. Hi, April. That just trips me out because I know some of the experiences that you had in that house. And
yeah.
I mean, I can't even imagine. I've lived in a house that was haunted, but it wasn't that level of haunted. Yours was malevolent.
Well, what was really strange is that my dad had a lot of friends who would come over and stay. And in the morning, we'd be having breakfast. We made a point of not saying anything about the house being haunted. And in the morning, we'd be having breakfast, and they'd look over at us, and it was always the same. About the house, you mean it's haunted? And they go, yes! We said, yeah, we know, trust us, right? But they'd be stumbling over everything, trying not to say it was haunted, but everybody that stayed there just said, oh boy, this is bizarre. Mine started from the first day I was there.
What happened?
My dad and a friend of mine had come with me from Chicago. I drove down, and my dad, one of his workers, was there at the house, and they'd been drinking because it was his birthday, and evidently every day was my dad's birthday. But anyway, he says, well, I have to take Wally back. Nice name, huh? I take Wally back to the bar so he can get his card. I'm like, really? You guys been drinking all this time? You're going to give him, drive back to his car? That's kind of stupid. But then again, I thought about it. Well, he's driving him there. But anyway, I said, where am I supposed to sleep? And he told me this one room. And I went in there. It looked like a ladies' bedroom because it had the canopy with the little doily, whatever it is, lace around the top. And
all the doilies are lace too.
Yeah. But right in front of me was a big window, and I could see the moonlight coming in, and I could see outside a little bit. And I went to lay down, just put my head back, and I heard, I'm like, what was that? Right? Lay back down, and it does it again louder. Like, does he have a dog? Because I thought maybe the dog was under the bed. And so I get up and I look, and I open up the closet, which is right here. Nothing. Lay back down. I'm like, all right, now I'm getting a little nervous, right? And I look up, and right up there was the air conditioning duct. And I thought, oh, it's just shutting off. And I went, they don't shut off 3 times, right? They shut off, and that's that. But I'm sitting up, and I'm looking out the window to see if there's anybody walking around outside. And right here, you can't explain it unless you have somebody do it to you. Right here behind my ear and on my neck, this hot breath went, and just, I was like, gotta go, see you, bye.
No doubt.
Thank you, Melody. So anyway, I jumped out of bed, and I was trying to get the door open. I forgot he had a little slider lock on the top. And I just went snap, and the door frame busted out. And I went outside, and I'm standing on the front lawn. And my dad lived in a cul-de-sac. And they came driving back in about 5 minutes. And my dad gets out, and he's going, I said, what? He goes, gotcha, didn't he? I said, what do you mean? He goes, ah. And I said, you know about that? And he goes, he does it to everybody. So could have told me that before I went in there.
He wanted the glory and the fun.
But I will tell you the one thing that was fantastic. I had a dog there who was about 180-pound Great Dane. And that dog loved me because I saved him from, the firing squad. And I was sitting there watching TV. Everybody else was gone. I was sitting cross-legged on the floor. And I'm watching TV, and Tubby's in front of me. He's not Tubby at all. He looks like the Cal-Can dog, gorgeous dog, right? And he's laying on the floor, totally asleep. And then all of a sudden, he jerks up and he looks right at me, right? And then he goes, that real deep growl, and his ears went down, and his eyes got slanted. He's showing me his teeth, and I'm like, oh boy, I'm gonna have to punch it out with this thing, right? It's gonna eat me, right? And I'm going, Tubby, it's me, Tubby, right? And he's going, he's glaring, looking at me, and I'm like, Tubby, right? And I just looked at him enough to see that he wasn't looking at me; he was looking over my shoulder. And I figured there's a burglar in the house, and I went, get him, Tubby, and he went, I mean, he was gone, right? And I jumped up because I figured he saw something, and I was going to go help him. And I jumped up, and I swear to God, this is what I saw. He's probably 10 feet past me, starting to go in the hallway, and he's jumping on his back foot, his feet, and his hands were up front, and he was throwing his like fists. He was clawing away at the air, and he was biting, right? He's I mean, he was going crazy. And then he came down, he landed on all fours, and he was facing away from me. And then he turned around, he just looked at me like, we're good. I'm like, come here. And he's like, but he saw something.
No doubt. Yeah, well, he battled something.
Oh, he was after it.
Holy crap. Well, I'm glad it wasn't you, because that would have been a fight.
Well, I had one with the Doberman that was about 130 pounds one time. Had to knock his lights out because he was biting the shit out of me.
That would do it.
Yeah. You know how much I like dogs.
I do.
But when they're trying to eat you, you have to defend yourself.
You have to take things into your own hands, as it were.
But yeah, I actually told Mikey Thompson.
Mm-hmm.
And another girl. Huh?
No, go ahead.
No, I told him about that house, and I told him the address. And Mikey went over and took pictures of the house. And I said, what do you think? He goes, you could feel it. And I said, yeah, it was practically insane how much it was. I got one more good one for the house. The house was set up like an H, and was my dad's office, my room, the living room and dining room, my dad's room, and then the garage over here. So it was like an H. And it was like 2:30 in the morning, and I hear boom, boom, boom. And then we got a big heavy bag and a speed bag in the garage. And I figure Cash is out there hitting it right next to the old man's room. I'm like, the old man's going to kill him, right? So I get out the door, and Cash is walking towards me. He goes, I think there's somebody in the garage. So we start walking down there, and my dad pops out. He's got a gun. Vandy pops out, and he goes, you go over there, get the dog, and come in this way, and we'll go this way. So I get Tubby. As soon as I open the door, he runs up to me. That dog was like a shadow. Anywhere I went, he was like right there. Right? Yeah. I loved it. But we go in, and I guess I could show you this. This looks somewhat like a heavy bag. And it's going like somebody just been hitting it. And I can't remember. Somebody said, is there somebody in here with us? And it went thunk, thunk, thunk. You could see it stop in the middle where it was getting hit, going and backwards. It was the weirdest damn thing, right? So finally,
so you could see the movement from the hit.
You could hear it. You could see the bag moving. And what was weird is when the bag came back and you'd hear the boom, it was in the middle. It wasn't just swinging back and forth, It was boom, and getting hit. And it stopped. We said, all right, let's go. Let's get out of here. And as we walked by, right by the door, there was a speed bag up. And I was the last one going by. And just as I went by, the speed bag went from somebody hitting it right behind my head. And we all stopped and looked at each other, and they went. My dad leans over to me and he says, let the dog inside the house. And he walked back into the bedroom. But yeah, there was stuff like that that's so hard to comprehend that you think somebody's lying.
Well, I know you well enough to know that you're not, right? And your reputation actually is stellar. So anybody listening that knows you is going to know that you're not. But, it's, to me, that situation is more of, I don't get scared if I'm in a haunted location. I I've had experiences that gave me pause.
I personally have been with you when you got conked on the head and shot in the stomach. So
That's, yeah, the shot in the stomach, the clunk on the head. I would go back to the Writers Museum because I don't think that was an intentional damaging me thing. I think it was because I had walked out of the room where this person's information was, and he wanted to let me know that this was a thing. Because when, should I tell people what we're talking about? Or, but,
why not?
well, the conch on the head was the most strange thing because it was so unexpected. We were in a beautiful, beautiful museum. It's the Writers Museum, and it was 3 stories with a basement. It was historic, just absolutely breathtaking, and to be able to go in and investigate was so cool. And I really appreciate that happening. And we had gone through, we were up on the top floor, and there were, the tables with the glass tops on them that have the memorabilia and stuff in them. And I had gone into this one room over, there's a, like, here it is. This is the hallway. Here's the room I was in. Here's the room that we were going into. And it was so bizarre because I was just looking and reading, and because I like that. And so everybody else was in the other room. So I went over and was in there, and I had my back to the door, to the little, middle area. And while Jay Craig was talking, all of a sudden, I just felt like somebody hit me in the back of the head with a golf club or something. It was, and Lori was standing across from the room from me, and I must have looked funny because she was like, "What is wrong?" And I'm like, "I don't really know." So I'm like, I actually put my hand back there to see if I was bleeding because that's how real it was. And there was no blood on my hand. And I'm like, I don't even know what just happened to me. So Kat was, the other cat who was our guide, was talking, and Jay Craig is looking at me now too. And I must have gone pale. And she just kind of looked at me too. And I was like, I have to ask, did anyone here die from a head injury? I mean, it's not like a figure, right? And I don't have tactile experiences as a rule. I'm not a physical medium. And so I was that day. And Kat said, well, yeah, there was a man, and his paperwork is in the room you just came out of, but he was a guest here. And as he was leaving, he slipped and struck his head on the stone stairs. They brought him back in, got the doctor, and they covered all of his bills and covered his burial because he died from the head strike eventually. So I was just kind of like, if he could just back up off of me, that would be great. And so that was a thing. And that was so bizarre because, like I said, I don't do that. I hear, sometimes I see. I don't have those tactile experiences. And so that was freaky in its own right. Culloden, I'm never going back to Culloden. I'm just not.
Good. I'm not going either.
But I actually saw a picture of the area where this happened. It was on Facebook somewhere, and the stone, if I'm the stones had yellow paint on them, and I think it said Clam Fraser. And so it was in roughly that area. Hey, Raymond, of Culloden, and you and I were walking, and it was just like, fine, 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 fine. And I felt like it was right in the center of my abdomen. And I'm trying to figure out what happened because it's not where an appendix would be or in, and I looked at you and I was like, I think I just got shot. And you're like, what? And
I can't take you anywhere.
can't take me anywhere. Not that trip, but it was the strangest thing. And I mean, I had to walk away from the battlefield. And fortunately, we could do that. And
That was just so weird.
and it still hurts sometimes. It's almost like a thing. I mean, periodically, that one spot, it's almost like a residual, just a reminder. I'm not going back. But the plus side is that, the English were the ones who had the guns. So if I got hot, I was probably Jacobian. So
I don't know. I didn't like Culloden because I was just so mad about when they're telling what actually happened.
yeah, I know, right?
Yeah, like who runs across boggy fields towards people that have rifles already trained on them? And it's like 700 yards they have to cover.
Yeah. And they didn't make it. It was 1,453 Scots who died and 450 English. A little disproportionate,
They probably got shot by the guys behind them,
probably.
the English. But yeah, that was.
But that was the strangest thing. Those were the two strangest things that have ever happened to me in a paranormal fashion. I mean, there's always experiences. I had a weird thing at the old potting jail, but it wasn't damaging me. It was just around me. Right. And that was, I pissed off the spirits and didn't really mean to piss them off or irritate them. And now I have a great response, a great relationship with the spirits in that jail. It's a wonderful place to go. I would go any day. I spend the night there. When I can. It's been way too long since I've been there. And Shelley Robertson, I love you. But it's just, but they like me. They don't want to shoot me or hit me and stuff.
Well, I have to tell them the story about what happened to all three of us when you weren't there.
Oh, I know. I couldn't believe
And
I
old
wasn't
Paul
there.
Jelly. Old Paul in
Jelly?
jail. I'm hungry.
Well, you got a while to wait, dude.
I know. But that whole thing, I mean, Lori was telling me about how connected Kat was. And I said, well, let's call her on the phone, see if she can chat to the ghosts. And dangest thing I ever saw, they would answer, because I had the K2 in my hand, and she would, she would say a question to them, and then go, blah, 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 blah. I'm like, Kat can hunt ghosts by phone. What's going on here? I've never seen anything like that.
Well, in all fairness, it was a phone and a K2 meter. But the fact that they do it in response was what got me. Because y'all have to understand, when I got them mad, it took a hot minute because I got mad too. So Shelley has a portal device. So we went in the kitchen and we started having a conversation. And it was a good conversation with the spirits because they were coming through. They were coming through appropriately, the right responses and stuff. And I was like, do you think I'm here for my help? I'm trying to help promote this jail. I'm trying to do this and I'm trying to do that. I have a 9-hour drive tomorrow. Do you think I'm up here for my health? Da, 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 da. So I was a little upset. So the guy comes across the portal and says, really? And I'm like, yes. What do you think? So they were so funny because the next morning, and I had to take a shower there and everything. I mean, I was sleeping there that night. I did not want to have bad blood between us, as it were. So, and I've told people this before, so if you've heard it, I'm sorry. But when I was leaving the next morning, Shelly had to get up and let me out, and it was like way early for her. But I was in the car, and I have Sirius, and I like, No Shoes Radio. So the song Ghost in This House bumped the song I was listening to. I was listening to a Kenny Chesney song. And Ghost in This House started playing. Have I ever told you that?
No.
Yeah.
You've been holding out on me.
Well, but it was so funny because I was like, really, guys? Really? I'm going to miss you too. I'll see you when I come back. And so, because we went through, and I mean, they put forth effort to resolve that situation, I felt like too. So none of us were mad anymore, right? And so I did, however, hang my crucifix on the door, the bathroom, when I was taking my shower, because I'm like, no peep shows. But it was really interesting because Sirius doesn't skip. That doesn't happen. I have had Sirius for ever and ever and ever and ever, and that does not happen. So I've always felt very welcome there. I still, when I possibly can, spend the night there. And that's why, and where y'all were in that first floor cell block, that is where, when I walk in the door of that jail, I go straight there and I say, hey guys, it's Kat. I'm back. I hope I get to, talk with y'all tonight, but I just wanted to let you know I'm here. And when you put me on the phone, that's what I said. Hey guys, it's Kat. I'm sorry I can't be there, but these are friends of mine. So, be nice to them or whatever. And that's when everything started going off.
Well, what was interesting is when you said, these are my friend and they're ghost hunters, and it went dead silent. And you went, no, I'll stick up for them. They're really nice. So and then I went again.
Yeah. They're my friends. They're nice.
Yeah, you're the only person I've ever seen that can ghost hunt by phone.
Well, communication is communication.
Well, you do know something about communications, I guess, from having, this show.
Yeah. And fate. I talk a lot.
I listen a lot.
But yeah, and I thought that was so cool because I don't know anyone else that would have thought to get me on there to say hi to them, because I was so bummed out that I couldn't come. And because I had been so looking forward to it.
Well, sometimes my evil brain pops into a good idea.
When it comes to spirit communications, you're really good at that. So I like your good ideas.
They seem to like me. They like you too.
They do. But, I would almost say that you're a ghost magnet, but it's not that kind of interaction that you get. You get more of the, they recognize your energy. They recognize your spirit, especially when we're in Scotland, because, battle is your go-to on everything.
Pretty much.
So I feel like that's where the draw with them is. And, your roots and everything else. And I don't know. It's just, to me, it's so interesting to watch you investigate.
Well, I usually just bumble around until I bump into something.
But you do bump into it.
But it's funny. I was with the Scottish paranormal guys, and we went to Torwood Castle. Now, there's a lot of spots in there where you can go high to get better pictures.
Mm-hmm.
And I always go, shoot, right? And I'll going through the thing, shoot, and he's playing back his voice recorder, and on it goes, shoot, Rick, right? And they go, wow, it's telling you to take pictures. I said, well, there's another way of looking at that, you know. No, let's not go that way. Shoot, Rick. No.
Well,
that was cool.
That's funny. And Tom and Nicholas said he's never scared on investigations, but depending on the condition of the place, the physical condition. Sometimes there's some that are sketchy.
One that I don't like because of the way the stairs are going down is Danito Den.
Mm-hmm.
Don't like that. Not because it's haunted and stuff like that. It's just I don't want to get stuck on those stairs.
Well, and I was so mad because you wouldn't let me go down.
No, it's a tough go.
And that was when I was still rehabbing broken things. So.
Yeah, and the stairs are not like normal stairs. They're like that far apart, and then the next one's like this, and it's real steep. It's I bet you half the people that are ghosts there were just people trying to get down the stairs.
There's a strong possibility.
Well, you got to remember, I didn't even make it through Shelley's place, Old Paulding. I got caught on the stairs and went right in front of Mikey.
Oh, should have been behind Mikey. He would have caught you.
I would have landed
you up.
Hey, I caught him once. He owes me one.
Return the favor.
Boy, I tell you, he conked his head pretty damn hard that day.
Oh, gosh, in Edinburgh Vaults.
Yeah.
That was a tough place.
I don't know why. I was standing there and, my stunt coordinating, looking around. I'm like,
yeah.
Oh, this could happen. I started walking. He goes, boom. I was like, whoa. And I just grabbed his coat and I'm holding him. And Mikey's like 235 pounds. He's not exactly, a straw. I'm like, come on.
And he's bulky. He's tall and
yeah. Well, I was glad I could grab him before he fell back down the stairs onto Lori.
Well, because that would have just been a chain reaction of events that would not have been done well. Because we were with a terrible group of, coordinators for that trip. So
aim at them. Here, go that way. Land on them.
But that room that everybody was in, I had gone in there, and I did not care for that.
Where's this at?
When we were in the vaults, that room that right by where Mikey got conked.
Yeah.
That was, I did not like that. I didn't have much feeling for most of that area. I didn't get a lot of, creepiness, not a lot of the, sensation. But I just didn't like that. I felt very uncomfortable in that room.
There's some places like that.
Oh, sure there are. But that was the only place in Scotland I really had that problem.
Well, I got to tell you, the one thing that's happened to me in Scotland that still I can't quite get past is the scream from next door. Yeah, yes. I was staying in the University of
oh yes,
St. Andrews in the dorm because in the summer they rent them out as hotel rooms. And on my floor there was one guy and he was probably 40 yards away. I mean the really long hallways. So I was down there by myself and I just started to lay down and I heard a girl scream right next to me or in the next room, but I mean it was really loud and you could tell she was being killed just by the scream of pain in there. And I went running out in the hallway and I'm listening to each door and there's nobody there. So I actually asked the people downstairs, the receptionist, I said, has anybody heard a woman scream? And they said, no, never have. But we do know this one really, really good medium, Heather.
Yeah.
Heather Besser. She's amazing.
She is astounding. I'm so glad you connected me with her.
Yeah. And I just asked her, I said, I heard this horrible, horrible scream. She says, how close were you to the stairs? I said, about two doors over. She goes, that's where they murdered her. I mean, I didn't even have to tell her what happened. I said, I heard this scream.
Yeah.
So that's bizarre when people can just tell you what you want to know before you even ask them.
Well, and she was amazing. And I want to say hi to Irene, who is in Japan this morning for her. So she said, "Good morning, everyone." So
Hello.
I just love her. She is one of the nicest people. But when we were staying in the dorms last summer, and I could get a feel for what you were talking about, that had to be so weird. Especially to have been traveling alone and heard that, and I know that your immediate reaction would have been battle, let's save her,
Yeah,
and there wasn't anyone to save.
yeah, it was bizarre. Still gets me though, because I couldn't save somebody that was being.
I
But then
know.
again, I realized that it had happened quite a long time ago.
Yeah.
But
But
man, that one shook me. I got to tell you.
you don't get shook much either.
No, but this one did, because it was, in your mind's eye what is going on.
Yeah.
So, but I still go there.
Well, we stayed on the same floor.
Yeah. Well, that's the best floor to stay on, because I
It
make sure
was the
you guys
best
look
floor.
out and see the golf course and the beach and everything else from up there.
The beach where they filmed Chariots of Fire
That's right. They
that
filmed
we
some other
ran
stuff.
on.
Well, they filmed some other stuff there too. I
Well,
don't.
none of that matters.
That don't count
Kidding.
except for Chariots of Fire. But you got to put your feet in the water there.
I did. And y'all, he thinks I'm crazy because when I get to water I haven't been in, I take my shoes off and I put my feet in. And so he was like, "Does David know you're doing this?" Because he and my husband are friends, and David trusts Rick to make sure that I don't like do something boneheaded. So
Full-time
but
job.
it is a full-time job. Now you see why David lets me go places with you so he can rest, right? But I'm just kidding. I love my husband to death. He loves me, and I'm so fortunate and so glad. But it is funny because then we got to Loch Ness, and that water was so flippin' cold, and I did it anyway because Loch Ness.
Yeah. When I was there before with Liam Shan from Taps,
Yeah.
we were standing there, and I looked out and I saw these 3 black bumps moving.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, "Do you see that?" He goes, "Yeah." He says, "Out here it's probably otters, which they have in the water." So I'm watching, and they're going. Then they go underneath. We're standing there, and a couple minutes later, 3 guys in black wetsuits pop up out of the water right in front of us. So it was their heads popping
Yeah.
around.
Well, they had those like balloons where the divers had gone down. So I found that interesting because I was looking at a live feed. Lori and I were looking at a live feed one morning, and there were tons of those little balloons. They dive there all the time.
Well, a lot of people don't realize how big Loch Ness is.
Mm-hmm.
And I've heard this. I don't know if this is the right number, but it's like 26 miles long. I mean, it's something.
That would, well, that pass was a pretty good way.
Yeah.
Because it looked small, and I know how big those mountains were that it went through.
Yeah, I just heard it on some show the other day. And the other
the
place
most
that we
random
stayed
stuff.
is actually the biggest loch area-wise. It was Loch Lomond, or Lomond, how do you say it?
Lomond. That's the one that we stayed on.
Yeah, that's even bigger than Loch Ness.
It didn't. Well, I guess that's true. It has tides.
Yeah. So we're catching up on our lochs, Missy.
Aye, lad. It's a good thing.
But yeah, I love going to Scotland because we got to see some pretty good stuff when we were there last time.
Oh my gosh, we got to go to Bannockburn House, which you can't go to anymore, or that's
Castle
not doing
Menzies.
tours. Menzies.
Yeah,
So
here's what's wrong with the Scottish people, who I love to death, is they told us you got to go to this castle, Castle Mengus. And I'm asking everybody. They said, do you mean Castle Menzies? And I went, I think so, right? And he goes, yeah,
yeah.
the Scots call it Mengus. I said, it's Zies and it's Mengus. Huh. Okay.
Ooh, Irene has a good question. You feel like a question?
Yeah. What is it?
She said she's in Japan, right? So they
Uh-huh.
have an Issy and Nessie there. But would it have affected their DNA after the atomic bomb? Do they still see them, Irene? Are they still spotted here and there? But
I don't know about a change in the DNA. DNA is something that's pretty stuck where it is. But could it have influenced anything else that was going to come after that? I would say
well, I
yes.
think it would have, if they bred, then I think that would have affected anything.
Yeah,
Yes.
but see now, Irene's showing off. She's got two water monsters.
I
Scotland's only
know.
got one.
Well, they did have Godzilla.
Oh, that's true.
So a monster that you haven't played.
No, I didn't play Godzilla, but I played enough of them. I had a girl at the gym tell me one time. They said, you're kind of a handsome guy, and I said, really? She goes, yeah. And I said, then why is it every time I go to a movie set they cover my face in foam?
That's the attitude.
Call it like I see it.
Just picking on you.
Irene's got a big foot too.
I had wondered about that because they didn't really talk about Bigfoot when we were in Scotland. I didn't ask. But I had wondered if that was just a North American phenomenon.
No, they're pretty much everywhere. I
Well, I
mean,
know like Yetis. Yetis are Russian or those mountains.
well,
So,
they're up in the Tibetan hills, the Tibetan mountains,
well, yeah.
and then the Russians have them. I mean, a lot of them up in Alaska. Canada has them, so they get around.
Well, Canada would qualify under the North American. Well, no, because I know there's such a huge Bigfoot project, the Olympic project out in Washington State that goes up into um, the Canadian, I guess the Canadian Rockies. So, oh, she said Godzilla probably did exist in the mountains of the volcano. Would have been a big dinosaur.
Well, they're still finding dinosaurs they haven't even known about.
Isn't that fun?
Not if you bumped into them.
Well, but I mean, if they're extinct, it would be okay because then you're just finding them.
You know, the funny thing is that people, if you ask people, how many people do you think dinosaurs ate?
All of them, except for a few. Well, but
No.
they were not carnivores though,
Yeah, but
as a rule.
they also died out 65 million years before humans came in.
Oh, you've got me with that before. I fell for that. I walked right into that.
They weren't around 65 million years before we showed up. Thank goodness. Can you imagine going out to get a loaf of bread and Godzilla starts chasing you around?
Well, no.
Feet, don't
Fail
fail me now.
And both of us would be in trouble.
We just push Lori back to him and then start running.
Lori would have left us in the dust long before then.
Yeah, we shouldn't have got her all psyched up about getting her legs and everything better after her operations. And now all of a sudden she's going for the Olympics or something.
I know. Now I'm going to have to put my specs on to read this. A hibagon. Bigfoot is called a hibagon here and lives in the forest of Hiroshima. Oh. Which was also hip. Was it not, Irene?
Here's my question. does Japan have a lot of people that have had, things go on with them because of the atomic bomb?
I know that after the tsunami, there were a lot of reports of people getting into cabs to get away from the area and disappearing. So Irene said yes, that Hiroshima was struck, because Hiroshima was a drop site. So
Yeah, I'm just wondering if the human beings changed any DNA wise.
they would just about have had to.
Doesn't show.
Well, it doesn't show on the exterior, but radiation at those levels stays in the land. I mean, that's why so many places outside of Vegas probably shouldn't be lived on.
That's true. There's
Most
one
of them
movie
actually died from the radiation poisoning,
well,
but it's still in the environment.
There's one movie they shot.
Oh, Irene, I'm so sorry. She said including her mom, Rick.
What happened?
Her mom died as a result of the radiation poisoning.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that, Irene.
Me too. Man's inhumanity to man always boggles my mind. I'm glad I don't understand it.
Well, we're all going to go sooner or later,
I do know.
Hopefully we all go later.
Later would be good. And, that's something that when we talk about, monsters and different variations of that, and you've played a lot of them, but a lot of people don't seem to give credence necessarily to the fact that there are so many mutations because of all of the stuff that humans have done. And, look at how irresponsible we are sometimes with our drilling and our just research stuff that we don't do appropriately to start with. And then I look at Scotland, who had, when we were there, they have 5 sources of energy there. They have nuclear, wind, gasoline,
Solar.
yeah, and I don't remember what the 5th one was.
Solar.
Well, yeah, solar, but wind, gas, solar, water, and nuclear. I mean, they're never. They take care of themselves.
Yeah.
I'm just so impressed with that. And oh, Irene, you're going to have to come on with me so we can talk about this. Besides, I want to talk to you anyway. Irene says she went to do an investigation at Hiroshima, and it was hard but cool. Did you get the spirits come and attack you if they don't like you or if you are weak mentally? She had to stand her ground, but she was packing her stones and they didn't care.
You know what's funny about this, and not funny, haha, but odd. You never hear anybody talking about Nagasaki.
You don't much.
Yeah, I mean, we all know Hiroshima, but I think half the people don't even know about Nagasaki.
Well, if they don't, they haven't paid attention. I mean, we didn't just do it once.
Well, they wouldn't give up, the hardy little buggers.
Well, that's because they believed in what they were fighting for too.
Yeah.
And they're a nation with a history of warriors. Now, she said that she went there too and she got physically sick at Nagasaki.
Yeah, you know, the vibrations you must get from the ghosts that are around those places have got to be overwhelming.
Well, like she said, the spirits came and attacked. I would probably attack also,
Yeah, I'd be a little PO'd if somebody dropped a nuke on top of me.
without a doubt. And so, Irene, did you take Shungite? Do you use Shungite also? We'll give her a chance to answer that. But I'm just curious because a lot of stones work in a lot of different ways. I've just always found that Shungite is one that handles just about everything. And I actually bought this when we were in Arkansas recently because I also have a Shungite pyramid that I keep on my desk here because I really believe in the power of this particular stone, and it is just for protection. Also because it likes me. So I have had stones that burned my hand. Red jasper is not for me, but you know, I still have a scar on my finger from being burned by a freaking stone. So things happen. But that's one of the things that I was so, because Scotland has been invaded, fought off, invaded, fought off, fought with the English, fought with the English, fought with the English. And
And the Vikings.
and the Viking, well, they kicked the Vikings out of their country. They are
Actually,
badasses.
you know what they did? The first time, the Vikings were famous for sneak attacks,
Hmm.
and they wiped out this one village of Scots. Well, the Scots decided, okay, they come by water, let's keep somebody watching. And when they came, they were ready for them and beat the crap out of the Vikings.
Hmm.
But they told the ones that survived, you can stay here if you want to, but you better behave yourself.
Yeah.
So a bunch of them stayed. And that's why there's a bunch of people of Viking and Scot blood. A lot of
Who would
people
be
don't know
total
that.
badasses.
Yeah.
They are.
The ones that were the badasses were the berserkers. No, that's what
I
their names
know.
were.
I love that.
Yeah, they would just go in there and they would adopt a spirit like a wolf or something like that and just go in there and fight like that animal.
Hmm.
And they were they were nuts is what they were. They were all the biggest ones and
My grandma called me that,
the berserker.
a berserker. She was always like, "You're just going berserk again." I'm like,
Let me think of this. I can agree with with Grandma on a lot of this.
okay, okay, you're in
Um,
trouble now. But, well, it's true.
Here's a question for the
Don't like
people
the
out there.
justice.
Um, what did the horns on the things mean on their helmets?
Does anybody know the horns on the Vikings helmets?
I know
That's
they never
cheating.
had horns on their helmets. Everybody thinks that because of the movies. And they all think that they were like huge people. And the actual median size of the Vikings was 5'7".
Well, nobody was great big then.
No, 5'7" might have been a giant back then, you know. But yeah, you gotta get away from what the movie's telling you and what's really happened.
Said the actor.
Grandma is watching you.
She is. She was talking about my grandma calling me berserk.
Well, you know what? She actually left I don't know what was it, a pillow or something for you?
Oh my gosh, the quilt.
Quilt.
I never tell people that, but yes. Oh, Irene, you're gonna love this. All of y'all listening. But I was on the phone with Rick. I was at J.C. Penney. I was trying to find David a comforter because we needed to replace his, and he loved it. And so I'm like, I have got to find this, the same thing. I was going everywhere, couldn't find it. They didn't have any, blah, 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 blah. I walked around a corner. I was on the phone with you, and I was like, "Oh my gosh!" And so the exact one that I needed was there, and the the my name was on it, and my grandma's handwriting.
I bet you still have that, don't you?
Maybe.
Oh, there it goes.
Can you see it?
Yeah. Yeah. No.
And so that's that. I was on the phone with him, and I'm like, "Oh my God, this has my name on it," because that's what she called me, was Kathy. And so I went up to the desk, and I'm like, "Are y'all holding this for anyone, because it has a name on it?" And they looked confused, and they were looking at each other, and they're like, "No, we're not. We don't know why that has a name on it." And I was like, "Thank you so much. I appreciate this. You have no idea how hard I was trying to find this. And now I can't get this closed again." Oh, well, that would be the reason why. Okay. But yeah, so got me a little bit. But that, I was so blown away. And it is still in there on the bed, being used and loved very much. So, but yeah. Ta-da.
Ta-da!
I'm glad you brought that up, because I never tell anybody about that, because
Well,
it was just
I was on the phone. You were like, "Oh my God, that's my grandmother's handwriting. It is my name, what she used to call me, and it's in a quilt that I wanted." I'm like,
the exact one, even the
I
same
was
name.
thinking to myself, I wonder what the chances are for not buying that quilt. What's less than 0?
Yeah, that was absolutely. Oh, thank you, Irene. Irene says she's standing behind me.
This
Thank
girl
you.
we were talking about earlier, Heather Besser, first time I talked to her, she gave me a reading. She was telling me all this stuff. And she says, "And your mom wants you to know that she watches you all the time." And I went, "All the time?" No, we don't want that.
No, we don't want that.
Yeah, I guess, how do I switch that off for a while?
Well, it is really nice when spirit reaches out to us.
Well,
And
I have had twice. You read my books. You know what I'm talking about. Twice I've had my dad.
you wrote books?
You wrote the foreword, you
Yes.
Yeah, I wish I was as good as you said I was in the foreword.
You are.
I try to live up to that, but boy, it was high standards. And then Jay Blumke had to go pile on the second book.
That was a great forward.
Yeah, it was. Yours was too.
Thanks.
That's what I said. If I just put the two forwards together, then I don't have to write anything else. So that was cool. But I tell you, people get the wrong idea about ghost hunting, right? And I think here's where I get to be pissed off a little bit. I see all these people that, like, they came out and they started banging around for 1 year, and now they're all doing these things trying to make themselves TV stars.
Yeah, I mean, I don't get that.
I think myself, you, Scottish Paranormal, although they are on TV now, but they didn't set out to do that.
I do know. They're not about ego.
Yeah, but they're awfully good at what they do.
They are awfully good at what they do. I feel so fortunate to have, I'm fortunate to have you for my friend, because that was an immediate connection. And I'm glad, because when you get those, then you know. And as for the tea and cookies, yes. And that would be, she was more leaving the coffee pot on the stove all day. And because my grandpa would turn it back. It would put hair on your chest if you were to fall into that trap. But my grandma was very proper most of the time. And she is who would, tea and cookies was a definite thing. And Rick can tell you that one of my priorities when I got to Scotland was to have high tea. And I love doing stuff like that.
And you had it right next to Roslyn Chapel.
I did have it right next to Roslyn Chapel. And
I, however, did not attend because I am a man and I do manly things.
what else? But, well, you eat,
Yes.
and it was good food, except for the haggis balls. And we gave all of those to Julie because she liked them. And Irene, I agree with you on the money. She says, I can't stand people asking for money to help people. I don't charge. She doesn't charge a penny for her work. If you're supposed to help people, you should do it and not charge money for it. I agree. But I will say that if there are expenses involved in getting to where you can help them, it's not, I don't consider it outside the boundaries to expect them to help you do that. If you're coming to use your gifts and your skill sets to help, I don't think you should have to give things up to be able to do that.
I think you should do it when you have enough money to do it.
Yeah.
You know? And yeah, I'm still trying to figure out why everybody should be donating $19 to everything they have on there.
What do you mean?
Shriners, St. Jude Hospital, Wounded Warrior, the tunnels, they all say
$19
a month.
Yeah. Well, I think it's because they feel like people can afford that. It's not an intimidating number.
It's scarier to me than 20 is.
Why?
Just 19. It sounds like there's a lot of stuff going on there. 20. No, okay, here you go. So
you're so funny. Well, that really is funny. But it's $19.99.
Yeah, make
or
it
$19.
$19.
It is $19.
67 cents a day. I see all these commercials. Bless them. I hope they get the money they need too. I want people to start buying my books some more so I can give more money to St. Jude.
That's true, because all of your profit goes to St. Jude.
That's true.
And donating is allowed, but not charging. Well, yeah. I mean, I wouldn't charge hundreds of dollars for anything anyway. But I don't charge anybody anything because I don't tell people I can do anything. I just do it.
Yeah, I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah.
I got to ask a question. I want to put this one out there. Somebody asked me, they said, you seem to get a lot of attention comes to you when you're ghost hunting. And I said, that's true, right?
It is true.
I said, but you know what? I look at it the same way as if you found a puppy in your backyard, right? How would you get him, to play with you or come to you or anything else? You wouldn't chase him. You'd run like hell, right? Yeah. But if you said nice, soft voice and started talking to him, got down to his level, he'd come to you. And I think it's the same with the spirits. If you go there, I'm convinced spirits can read energy. And if they look and see which color energy you're giving off, they go, oh, let's go there. So, although I did learn a lesson, do not sit on a gravestone.
Well, it wasn't even a gravestone. It was the encasement thing.
Yeah.
Because you wouldn't have sat on the stone.
No.
It was more of a tomb.
Yeah, that's one of the most amazing things I've ever
had.
That
was a quick and adamant response.
I'd walked through this thing in Inverness, Scotland, this cemetery, graveyard, whatever they want to call it. And Kat was there, Lori was there, Mikey and Julie and Liam Shan from Tabs and his whole group. We're all going through there, and I'm not getting any reactions, any feelings, nothing. But all I know is that I've walked 9 miles that day, according to Lori, who has a little counter, and my knee was just wobbling. I said, I gotta sit down. I'm looking around for for a chair or a bench, and there's nothing there. And right behind me, there's a thing that looks like a coffee table, right? I thought, and I just said, look, I mean, no disrespect, but if I don't sit down, I'm going to fall down, right?
Yeah.
So I sat down, and instantly, there was a girl that was with me. The K2 went all 5 lights. Hadn't gone off the whole night at all, right? So I said, are you mad because I'm sitting on your tombstone? Right? And it went, boom, 5 lights again. And I went, well, I have to tell you, my knee is really, really sore. If I could just sit here for 30 seconds, this would really help. Is that okay? And it went like between 2 and 3, just flickering, and which I took was, okay. And then right after about 30 seconds or so, bam, 5 lights again. And this girl, it's her first ghost hunt. And she's watching, right? And I said, if you do it right now, I'll get up. Bam, 5 lights again. And she goes, what are you going to do? I said,
getting up.
Get up.
I'm not staying here.
I want to go back there, and I just want to put my hand on it and say, hey, do you remember me? I'm the bonehead that sat on your tomb.
Yeah, I think he'll remember you, Rick.
He might hit me with some sort of zap.
Well, if he didn't zap you when you were sitting on his tomb, I think you'll be okay. So
I got to tell you, though, that was the wildest trip I've ever had to Scotland with what happened with the Laird.
Oh, you've got to share that.
Well, I think you should share it because you wrote the thing for Fate magazine.
We wrote the thing for Fate magazine.
Yeah, but you had a better look at it because I would have my back to a lot of that stuff.
Well, Irene said next time bring some cookies or chocolate and leave them for him.
Better yet, bring them and leave them for me.
She meant the man.
Oh,
the man, okay. Like a peaceable thing. But
so Rick, did you get your butt kicked?
Talking about the man's.
What? Oh, that. If he could have got out of there, I would have. He was not happy.
He was really insulted.
And I didn't mean it that way at all, because I said right off the bat, I said, I mean no disrespect, but I have to sit down.
Yeah.
So that was something. But this other story, I'll give the priest story, and Kat can tell you what she saw. First time I went to Balgony Castle, which is my favorite place in Scotland, there was a man there named Raymond, who was the laird of in other words, the landowner and the head of the house and everything else. And for some reason, he took an instant liking to me. And we were just standing there talking about stuff, and I was really interested into the Knights Templar, and I still am. And he had all this Knights Templar stuff, the flags, the swords and the spears everywhere. And I mean, they had, if you ever went up to the big meeting room, there's flags all the way down the way. Looks like the White House inside with all the flags. But we were talking, and he's telling me all this neat stuff. And I had just fallen the week before in a forest and just really tore up my leg to the point that I was using a cane to get around. And he looks at me and he goes, can you get up 3 flights of stairs with that leg? I said, you got a handrail? He goes, yeah. I said, yeah, I can. He goes, come on, I'm going to show you my private residence. So we're going up the stairs, and I think it was Gregor. He just leaned over and said, he's never taken us up there. And they're like the in-house ghost hunting group, right?
And his friends.
Go up there, and it's amazing. It's exactly what you think. Red leather chairs, the giant granite fireplace. But he had done something. He was a fabulous artisan in everything: leatherworking, woodworking, painting. And matter of fact, he carved the doors. I think.
Oh my gosh, they're brilliant!
Like 42 doors that he carved for the castle. But I'm looking up there, and in the ceiling, and things that are like 2 by 3, they're really big, is the 31 crests of the former lairds, their family crests, all in the ceiling. And I was like, wow, this is amazing. But when we were leaving, he calls me over and he goes, Rick, come here. So I go over and and he goes, can you keep a secret? I said, yeah, I think so. And he goes, I know you like the Knights Templar. And I said, yeah. And he goes, I probably get the number wrong. There's 277 living Knights Templar in the United States. Well, goodness gracious, where do you come up with this information? Right? I said, how'd you know that? And he goes, because I'm in charge of them. Now I'm like, what? So anyway, when we went back, it'd been a couple of years because of the COVID and all that stuff. And he was on his deathbed, just to be honest. He had a bed next to, his little apartment downstairs. And he was talking to me. I didn't know if he would remember me because, he was in his mid 80s by that time and pretty sick, but his brain worked 100%. And he's talking to Jay and Mikey and, them people. He looks up and he sees me and he puts his hand up and grabs my hand. And he pulls me down. He whispered something in my ear, and I went, "I gotta go outside. It's really dusted here." And I walk out. And they're all like, "You ain't fool with anybody, buddy."
Yeah.
But he calls me back later on. We went back a week later because they were having a celebrity ghost hunt with the guy from America. I guess they couldn't find any real celebrities, and they picked me. So, but I go over there, and at the end of the night, Gregor goes, "Let's go in and see the Laird." He says he wants to talk to you. So we go in, and the Laird's, you could see he was faltering a little bit. But he asked me, he goes, so I come over laying down, he goes, "Did you keep my secret?" I went, "Yeah." He says, "I'm going to tell you another one." I said, "Can you make it easier to keep than the last one?" Right? He started laughing, and he goes, "Well, I told you I was in charge of the ones in the United States." I said, "Yeah." He says, "I'm in charge of all of them." And I'm standing there thinking to myself, a guy that's really into the Knights Templar is talking to the Grand Master. It's like, what?
Yeah.
And I wouldn't have told anybody still to this day. But after he passed, they actually alluded to that in his obituary. So otherwise, I'd still be keeping the thing. But it's like, holy cow. It's just, how many people can say that? Well, I'm sure Ryan and Gregor can, but amazing.
Well, it was amazing. And the connectivity between y'all was immediate.
That's why I think you should tell the second half. When we were ghost hunting in
oh my gosh. It was, guys, there were 5 of us. And Scottish Paranormal was hosting an event. It was kind of a come hunt with the Americans thing. It was so great. We, did a barbecue, and then we all went over to Balgony, and we were getting separated. People were going to be in this area, this area, this area. We were actually away from the primary structure of the castle. We were where the original walls had been. Excuse me. And Rick didn't know that. So he was kind of like, why are we out here? Well, the new Laird, his son, came in, and because I didn't know anything about the area or the items in it, it's the museum. And so Stuart was explaining, like he had built this with his dad. There was a model of the castle. There were items from battles that had been found digging around on the property, and they were in there in display cases and stuff. So it was very personal. And the Laird's workshop was behind the door, going out the other end. So it was very personal stuff for the Laird. And so I'm just like, oh, this is going to be interesting. And Rick was just kind of like, I still don't know why we're here. And I'm like, because it's his stuff. It matters to him. This is personal. But so we sit there and we start our investigation. And, Rick's talking, and I'm sitting there with video camera, and I looked at my video. My video did not reflect what I was seeing, which I find really weird because I wasn't the only one seeing it. But Rick starts talking. K2s are going everywhere. I look over, the REM pod starts going off. It looks like the 4th of July. I mean, it's like every color light is like climbing the the antenna. I'm getting goosebumps. But it was so bizarre. I've never seen that happen. And it just kept on. The more Rick talked, the more things were going off. And I'm sitting there just like, Rick's like, well, who could this be? I'm like, oh, come on. So I didn't say that. So we're sitting there. Everybody's K2 is pegged out. The REM pod continues to do this. It's Mikey's REM pod. Over in the corner, Mikey says, bro, my REM pod don't do that. And Rick's still like, obviously somebody who knows how to use the equipment or is familiar with the equipment. And the 5 or 6 women that had come in there to do the segment of their investigation first with us were all like, and so Rick finally, I'm sitting there going, come on, you know who this is, acknowledge him. And about that time Rick goes, oh, it's the Laird. And I'm like, oh, yes, it is the Laird, because it was so much, it was almost impossible for it to have been one person, right? So Rick was confused for an obvious reason. This was off the chain activity.
Yeah, everything in the room went off.
Everything. And then my camera started turning off. And I'm like, don't do that. And I just kept turning it back on and kept going. And so I have a lot of little videos from that period. But it was the coolest thing because it only happened with that group.
Yeah.
It only happened the first group that came through. And it was such a spectacular display of enthusiasm and caring. And yes, I'm here. I want you to know that this is fantastic and I'm so glad you're here, kind of a thing. And
it was amazing.
It was amazing. I've never seen anything like that.
Well, you know what else it did? And you mentioned it, but I don't know if people really know what we're talking about in this. The K2's got 5 lights, and each one is a little stronger. The power's a little stronger. Well, I had a K2. I think Mikey had one, and so did Lori.
Yes.
And we're all sitting there, and as soon as I asked that, they all went 5 lights and locked. They wouldn't, boom, it just like, so much energy hit us at one time. It was like,
yes. I mean, it was such enthusiasm. And Denise Pradmore, we love you. I'm sorry you're stuck in traffic, but be safe. And, it's just absolutely, it was like, hello. I mean, it was like,
that's my buddy.
Yes, that's my friend. Hello, friend. I miss you. I'm sorry I'm not there, but hey, this is for you. And I just thought it was so precious and so cool that because you knew that he was going to show up for you. If there was any way possible, you knew he was going to show up for you.
Boy, he did.
And he showed up with bells on, as it were.
Yeah,
I mean, it was the coolest thing.
Well, that happened on one night. The following night is this thing that happened in the graveyard.
Yes.
And when we were walking back to where we were staying, I was walking with the group, and I said to Kat, Kat, I'm thinking about quitting ghost hunting. You said, you'll never quit. And I said, yeah, but when am I ever going to find 2 things like just happened back to back?
Yep.
So
and what did I say?
Yeah, I don't remember.
Oh, how could you not? When you said that you were going, and you kept on with, well, I'm going to quit because this is, and you're like, that'll never happen again. I was like, but now we know it does.
Yeah,
now we know what we can expect.
Yeah, I've never had reactions like that.
And you've never had a relationship like that with somebody that was that versed in communicating.
Yeah, he was a good man.
He was a great man. I mean, I just know how much you cared for him, and I know how particular you are.
Yeah, I don't attach to too many people. I've got a lot of acquaintances, but not that many friends.
Yeah.
You know. So all you acquaintances, try harder.
You are so bad.
That's
You
why I don't have
are.
any friends.
Well,
I
yeah.
gotta have people made out of stern stuff to be my friends because they're able to put up with me.
And they can be stern with you.
That's right. Just give me a
So
nice bitch slap every once in a while, put me back where I belong.
I would never do that. I'm Southern. We don't do that.
Lori would do it.
Lori would jack you up.
Yeah, I would run away, but my knee's too bad.
Yeah. And she can catch you now.
Yeah. I wonder how good she can climb a tree.
She's in shape. She can. Denise said they're doing 3 whole miles per hour in
Be
Atlanta.
careful. That's got to be terrifying going that fast.
Yeah. I think that hello, Luciano. Oh, you are the second Luciano I know whose nickname is Lucky. I'm so glad to see you. Greetings to you too. And Lori says, shut your pie hole.
Well,
You knew that was coming.
Pie, will you?
Well, I am just I'm looking forward to being back in Scotland.
Me too.
One of the things that I was told by you when I went was that once you go, you will always come back. And
it's true.
I really feel like the way things are working out to get us there are the way they're supposed to work out. And I'm so excited.
I am too. Me, I think I've been there 13 times.
Yeah.
Or this will be my 13th time.
I think you've already been. I think this will be 14.
Yeah, I'm not sure, but I've been there a lot of times. And the feeling never goes away. As soon as you get back, you're like, I want to go back.
Well, and the thing about the first time I went was not an easy time.
Yeah.
And the tour person was horrid. I was literally abandoned with Lori at a dive hotel, a roadside in Kirkcaldy. And so that worked out great, though. That worked out great. So thanks to you. And we appreciate that. And, it was just, or actually the universe working through you, because that was almost impossible to have managed. And you were getting some help on that. So yay, go universe. But as bad as that was, Scotland was wonderful. It was absolutely unbelievable.
What's fun about Scotland is just bumming around in a town and just wandering into places.
Yep. Edinburgh, which is a great big small town. Edinburgh is beautiful. It's where most people go. That's when people are talking about Scotland, that's usually what they're talking about. But when you get out of there, and thanks to you on our last trip we did, and Lynn and Gary and all the Scottish Paranormal and the history and horror.
Jay Craig.
Oh my gosh. He's why we were at the Writers Museum. I mean, there were so many people, and he came to our final dinner. I was so glad to see him. I just loved him.
Yeah, Lynn Crawford Knight from
the History and Horror.
History and Horrors, yeah.
Yes, because I'm always confused if it's History and Hauntings or History and Horror, but it's History and Horror. But I mean, these people took us everywhere. We got to see so much. And it was the most brilliant group of people who helped us and carried us along everywhere and were just the most wonderful humans to us. And I think that being able to see the small towns, being able to experience the when we got to Castle Menzies, when we got there, Mikey stepped out of the car because I've been looking the whole time. Everybody else was talking, and I'm just looking around because we're going through this like primeval forest to get there, and the pine needles are like this long. I mean, on these monster trees, and we come out of the forest, and we're in a field, and it's yellow and greens and the castle and then the farmhouses over on the other side. Mikey got out of the car. The first words out of his mouth was, "My God, I've walked into a painting." And it's like exactly like a painting. And so that's the environments that we were seeing and getting to investigate this beautiful castle. And it was just, David will never get over you doing it, and I will never be able to thank you enough for taking me to Scotland the first time.
Yeah,
because the second time was freaking brilliant.
Well, I got to tell you, it's sometimes you're worried about how your friends might like this, might like that, but with Scotland, you just come. You'll like it, trust me.
Yeah.
You know what's so strange about Edinburgh? There's no high-rise buildings.
No, and there never will be.
Yeah.
They don't allow them.
Genius.
Yeah.
That's where they went wrong in Glasgow.
Yeah.
Too modernizing.
Well, but the interesting thing about Glasgow is that the details on the building are at the top. Yeah. I mean, the design elements are at the top of the buildings. That's why everybody says, look up.
I had something happen to me that I don't think too many people can say. I always stayed at this one hotel. I won't say the name of it. But my friend went from, one of the guys at the front, and then he went on to be the night manager and stuff, and he ended up being the general manager. And I talked to him, and he was able to get my rate down considerably because I was there when Taylor Swift was there.
Right.
And he says, well, if you want me to do this, you got to do it right now. I said, why? Right. And he goes, because at the end of this hour, I'm going to be the general manager of Glasgow. So,
yeah.
But he's a good dude.
He was a good dude. He was so nice when we got to Glasgow.
Yeah, well, it's just like my friend Chuck Waters, who's a famous stunt guy. Matter of fact, in the movie The Exorcist,
yeah,
he's the guy that flies out the window and goes down all those stairs. That's Chuck. But he told me one time we played golf together, and I told him, I called him up and said, you got some pretty good friends there. Very nice people. He goes, wouldn't be there if they weren't.
Yeah.
So I don't know how I snuck in, but they must have thought I was there to carry the clubs or something.
There you go.
But yeah, that's I love Scotland. If I had enough money, I would move there. I am thinking about having a little tour company myself over there.
I don't see why you wouldn't.
And doing it completely different than everybody else does.
Everything you do is completely different from anybody else.
Well, I wouldn't want to have 25 people at a time. I like to have like 12. And have one day, like when say we go to Edinburgh, one day you don't do anything with the tour. You just go explore the whole place by yourself.
Yeah. And it's safe enough that you can do that. I mean, it's brilliant.
Should I tell them about my mystical moment in Scotland?
Yes.
Lori and Kat and I were walking along, and there's these outdoor restaurants right there, and there's the road right behind us. And I'm looking up at the castle was right near there, and I'm looking up at the castle, and they had these cylinder things, made out of
Pylons.
pylons out of concrete. And I'm looking up, and I walked right into one and hit both legs on it, went straight over it face first towards the ground. Fortunately, I've, doing 8,000 stunts
Stuntman.
on a fall, right? But I still hit pretty hard. Just like, bam, right? And as soon as I hit, I was like, okay. And all of a sudden, I started floating up, and I'm like, oh no! Well, at least I'm going the right direction. And it was all the Scottish people jumped out of the restaurant and grabbed me to lift me up. And I was like floating. Yes, that was fun.
And they were all, and primarily women, right? Because it was like lunchtime. And
I can say that I did get picked up by a bunch of women in Scotland.
Yes, that's true. But they were also precious because they're like, oh sir, are you okay? Oh my God. And I'm like, he's fine. Meanwhile, I'm sitting there with Lori
We'll come
going,
back for him later.
God.
Just leave him there. We'll come back for him later.
So, but it was, well, I couldn't be too mean because we had just gone for my banana ice cream that you had found. So,
I knew I better find that place for when you came back.
And you did.
I walked into this one restaurant and they had banana ice cream and she flipped out. And we talked.
When I tasted it, I mean.
Yeah, we said, what do you want to do today? I'm going to get ice cream. No, it's on the other side of the city. No ice cream for you.
And I got ice cream.
But I had to go back down into Newtown. The older one is down at the end of the hill, down by Holyrood. That's Old Town. And as it expanded, it goes up into Newtown. And that's where the ice cream place was.
Well, it was brilliant. And Denise loves banana ice cream too, she said. And it is pretty. Oh, she had some today. Good for you. Oh, if you were in chat, I know that you can see it. Put #cat in the chat. Make a comment. Put that in there because we're going to be giving away a Fate magazine. So just if you want one, Carl has a fantastic thing that will just anybody who has that #cat in their in the chat will be entered, and he will do a little swirly thing and it picks somebody. The first time he did that, I was just like, oh, that's so cool. I didn't know he could do that. Carl's brilliant. So, and he understands technology like nobody's business, which thank God. So he saves me from myself all the time. But, one of the things that I think, I keep trying to get my husband to come. My husband does not want to leave the U.S., but he does trust Rick, and pretty much as long as Rick is there, I can go. But it's one of those things that it's just so perfect. You want to share that with people. And the hunting side of it, the spiritual investigations, the spiritual feelings, there are energy circles everywhere. There's what is the place where the stones were?
The stones?
Yes. Was it the Clava Cairns?
Oh yeah, Clava Cairns. Yeah, which by the way is in Outlander.
Mm-hmm. It is an Outlander. I did not know because I don't watch Outlander. So everybody else is like their hands on the rock going, and I'm up there going. So yeah. I was not terrified of being taken through the rock.
I'll tell you something funny about that. I got my picture standing next to it.
Yeah.
And I knew that Natalie.
Huge Outlander fan.
Huge, right? So I sent them a message saying, they say this has something to do with Outlander. And he writes back, don't touch it. You'll go back in time. And I wrote back, I said, what makes you think I don't want to go back in time?
Yeah.
So.
But it was so funny because I had no idea what we were doing. Right. So I'm just like, well, okay. Yeah. So.
Yeah, that's a pretty interesting graveyard.
It is.
It's got all these rocks that are about 5 feet high. It's amazing.
Well,
There's so
it
much
also
there.
has energy circles. The trees are all planted in circles,
Yeah.
and
Well,
a lot of power there.
well, I will tell you the one place that has the most magic for me is the harbor at St. Andrews.
Oh my God. I did not understand. I did know what it meant to you, but until I got there and we were sitting there, I mean, that is what is my screensaver on my phone. It switches between that and that little village by Scottish Paranormal's offices, the multicolored structures.
Yeah, Fife,
No, I'll show
West
you.
Wemyss, then it has to be Wemyss. Oh, that's shoot. I've been there before. Matter of fact, Gregor almost drove us off into the water. Remember?
I know. That's where we were.
Yeah. It's got a famous place there. It's got its name in it as a restaurant.
But it was the most, I mean, y'all saw that. That's, you can just walk up and see these places anywhere, anytime. They're just always there. St. Andrews was brilliant. I mean, you're on the North Sea. The, oh, come on. The Golden Chorus. Chorus is wonderful if you are a true history buff. It's also been on, every place has been on Outlander. Balgonie's been on Outlander. But, it's really amazing the history and the beauty and just the absolute astounding history. Oh,
That's Clava Cairns.
thank you. Yes. And that's a cemetery. There are bodies buried there in those rocks.
Oh, so they say.
Or so they say. But it was so cool because, like I said, did I go into there and interact? Yes, I did. But what fascinated me more, because everybody else was in there checking the graves out and stuff, and I'm like,
That's for the Outlander fans.
yes, and my picture like that is just very so very not afraid of being taken away.
You know what
Yes.
else that people need to know about Scotland? They always say, well, what if you see a castle that you want to go into that's abandoned? I said, go in it. And they said, what? I said, they have a thing called the right to roam law. So,
And it's on you.
but I did tell them, I said, Scotland, the people are much more honest about things. If you fell in one of these places, decide to sue them, you go up to the judge, go, all right, let me get this correctly now. You went into a place where you weren't invited into the dark and you fell over and it's his fault. Dismissed.
Yeah.
And now they're going to throw me in jail for that terrible accident.
Yeah, they will. You're going to catch heck for that. But we did go to Rake Castle, which was a ruin, and it was very gently haunted. It was not reach out and slam somebody.
That is Inverness.
Yes.
And this is actually the river that goes into Loch Ness.
What is the name of that river? Do you know?
Loch Ness River.
It is.
I think that's what it's called.
Well, Ness River.
Yeah.
It's the Ness River. I always wished I could see stuff.
This one has some personal stuff for me.
Yeah.
That is a graveyard where can't think of his name right now. St. Columba supposedly banished the Nessie back into the loch. But the funny thing is that our last name, Mccallum, comes from St. Columba. Not that anybody cares, but me.
I care. I was listening.
Now I'm going to show you something that Kat Hobson and Lori Dorsey went crazy in this place I took them to.
Oh my.
That's
yes.
the bookstore.
Yes. I brought books home. Leakey's bookstore is historic. It's from the 1600s. It's been in business since the 1600s. And it will do. It was freaking brilliant.
Well, we need to put Denise Pridemore on our trips for next year.
Yeah, we definitely need to do that. But I am having a struggle here.
You see what Lori said about St. Andrews Harbor moved me to my soul?
That's because that's true.
Yeah, I felt like such a goober. I'm telling her and Lori, you know what I really like to do? I like to just go down there and sit on this one bench and look at the water. And it's so peaceful. I mean, it's crazy, except for one thing happened there that I'll never get over. I'm so ashamed of myself about it.
Oh, you shouldn't be. I know what you're going to say.
There's a long rock outcropping that goes out probably a couple hundred yards. And I was standing up there and I turned around and I looked and I saw this girl that was probably about 15 in a one-piece bathing suit. And she was pink. And I don't mean, just a little bit. I mean, she looked like Pepto-Bismol, her face, everything about her. And she was really trembling and had her arms up there and she was having a hard time walking. And I wanted to come over and just grab her and start rubbing her appendages. I was a lifeguard for years, to get the stuff back in her and hug her, take my coat off and put it on her. But I was afraid of doing that in a foreign country and going over and hugging on some 15-year-old I don't know. Right. So I followed her as she was walking back, because there's a drop off there that falls down into the water with those rocks right there. It's very dangerous.
And it's a big drop.
Yeah. But I followed her until she got down to where she could turn left and go out where the cars were parked. And she had her hands out in front of her like this, like somebody help me. And I was so disgusted with myself that I just didn't do it. If it happens again, that's it. I'll see what happens. But then I should have helped that poor girl. But I was in a way. I followed her so she didn't fall off the thing. But I should have just done what I know I should have done and forgot all that other nonsense. So you can all boo me right now. Boo.
Well, I don't think so, because of all the reasons that you said.
Yeah, I can see being in jail with a bunch of people like Ryan and Gregor.
That would give you pause.
Just hanging out with them gives me pause.
Yeah.
No, Ryan O'Neill and Gregor Stewart. Ryan is on, I don't know what the name of the show is. It seems like they change the name of it every
Haunted Scotland.
Haunted Scotland. He's the
and Haunted Ireland.
And Haunted Ireland. And Gregor's on the other one, I think, now.
Yes.
They're two of the kindest people in the whole world.
Scottish men. You can't beat them. You really can't beat them.
Yeah, the Vikings found out about that.
Yeah, they did. So I will put St. Andrews Harbor up as my Facebook on my Facebook page when we get off of here, because I'm having a hard time pulling it up, only because I'm trying to. So
that's generally the way that works.
It is the way that works every time. So we are going to have Carl do the giveaway, and then we will say goodbye to Rick here in a minute. Oh, he said 1 minute. Well, wait a minute. But I think that I think that we are so fortunate to have our friendship, Rick.
Well, I think so too.
Denise Pridemore said Scottish men kilt it.
Well, I got to show you what I did on this thing. When I did a movie in Scotland, not Scotland, in Australia, everybody bet me that I would not swim, that I would not go in the ocean because of the great white sharks and the alligators.
Oh, please. If they just knew how goofy you were.
Well, I did it.
I know you did.
I went up to my ankles. I did the Cat Hobson.
But you were in there.
That's the Cat Hobson. Go ahead and get your feet wet.
You do what you have to do.
But actually, I did end up swimming out there.
That's because you're goofy.
I look like a little morsel with some of them things swimming around out there.
Well, I do have the picture that you took of at St. Andrews.
Oh, yeah.
But I'm struggling to get it to give me.
That little bridge she's standing on is on St. Andrews Golf Course. And it's called the Swilken Bridge, and it's super famous for anybody who watches golf because everybody that goes there, it's just like the 18th hole or 17th hole in at the Masters. Anybody that's retiring and it's their last time, they always stop on that bridge and look around and reminisce for a bit. And it's so popular that you go down there, there's so many people waiting to go stand on the bridge and get their picture taken. But I did take a picture. I did take a picture of Lori and Kat, and there's a rainbow right behind them.
There was one there, and I was trying to find that picture with the rainbow. But, you know, one of the things that I will always remember is you telling me about St. Andrews Harbor, which apparently I'm never going to be able to show anyone. But it really is just an amazing experience to see something that ancient. The boats are all on their side when the tide's out, just like in the old-timey pictures. And it's really cool. So, is it time? We're going to go ahead. Carl's going to work his magic, and we're going to find out who's getting a Fate magazine. Laurel. It's Lori Dorsey for the 75th time. I tell you what, just because if you will find me on Facebook, and this is for Denise and let's see. Denise and Tracy, if y'all will go ahead and send me that address, I will send you one just because you have not had one. Okay. And if you were entered, and Carl will tell me who all was entered, then we will send you a magazine. So,
Tracy Pinot is the mother of Sky, the little bush girl.
I know. I love the little bush girl.
She's like about this big.
Tracy probably thinks that she's much bigger than that. She birthed.
Well, you know, okay,
so.
No, I was going to say that everybody was singing up in Tombstone, up in this balcony, and they were filming it. I watched it. I was singing too, and I look over, and there's little Sky sitting next to me, and you see her go.
That's so funny.
She's got the best name though. Her name's Sky King.
Is it now?
Yeah, there used to be a TV show called Sky King.
I know. That's interesting. That's cool. Lori said Perth was cool. Perth was cool. We stayed in a hotel that used to do hunt balls, so I loved it. But we are out of time, my friend. Thank you for being here.
Anytime.
Well, I just love talking to you, and I think that you have so much to offer our listeners that it's a good time. So,
Yeah,
and
think
I
2
always
hours
enjoy
is
talking
about
to
the
you.
most anybody could put up with me without wanting to come charging after me with sticks.
I have never done that yet,
That's because you're way over there. And I always stay at the
but
other
not
end, but
always.
not always.
So,
See, but for David, I always have to have my room close to you guys, just in case.
just in case. Thank you so much. And for everyone listening, thank you so much too. We will see you next week. Same cat channel, same cat time. And don't forget, Fate Mag Radio is on Sunday. I'll talk to y'all then. Good night. Good night, Rick.